Hey everyone, I'm reviewing Socrative for my technology assignment. Socrative is a really awesome app to use in the classroom. It's a student response system and it allows the teachers to perform a formative assessment. It's really easy for the teacher to use, so it's excellent on that end, and it's also really fun for the student. It requires student participation and has some really awesome built-in features that just makes it really fun for the students to work with. So here I'm going to show you how to access this app. You can type in Socrative.com. Otherwise, if you Google Socrative, it'll be the first thing that comes up. So here on the main page that you find when you go to Socrative.com, you're going to see a page that says Apps. If you click on that, it will show you where you can download this app. So for the teacher and the student, you can download on the App Store, on Chrome Web Store, or on the Android for Google Play. And then if you click on resources, this shows you some support materials, a user guide, training pack, videos, and a blog, and then some classroom ideas. So I actually mentioned some of these in my technology assignment that I submitted, creating a word cloud, uses of open response, activities for peer collaboration. So if you click on each of these articles, it'll give really awesome ideas for ways the teachers can use this app in the classroom. The About page just gives a little bit about the story of the app, as well as information on the team that developed the app. And then, of course, a Help page. So that's the Socrative Help Center. I'm actually not going to wait for that one to load. Well, there it is. So just some common questions and answers right there. So to go back to the main page, bear with me here. So Socrative is a free app, so students and teachers can create a free account. You'll see here you have a student login and a teacher login. Also on the main page, they have a quick overview video. It's really useful to watch. It's about 2 minutes in length. I did watch it when I first went to this website, and it was really helpful just to give me a brief overview of what this app can do for you in the classroom. So I'm going to go to the teacher login page. And then you'll see here that I will type in my email address that I signed up with. And then my password. Okay, so this is the page that you'll see when you first log in. It has 4 different options. You can start a quiz, do a quick question, do a space race, or an exit ticket. So I'm going to review each of these one at a time, show you how to use them, and talk about ways they could be utilized in the classroom. So if you start a quiz, it says it looks like you have no quizzes. I can create one. And then you can name the quiz. And as you see here, you can choose between multiple choice, true, false, and short answer. So my idea is that to use this in the classroom, it would be really helpful first for a formative assessment during class, to get a feel for whether the students are understanding the material. So you could choose, let's say, 5 questions that cover main topics. Maybe if it's multiple choice, you can then have the students choose the correct answer and then see who's getting it correct and who's getting it incorrect. I wish I had a bunch of students going along with me right now so I could show you what the screen looks like when you do have answers coming in. But if you do go on Google or look at their short intro video on the login page of the website, they do show you that screen, what it looks like when you have students answering. So it'll basically show you how many students have answered, how many have not, the percentage of students that are answering correctly, and then it'll show you each individual student that's logged on and what their answer is. So you can identify specific students that are understanding the material and those students that are not. So another way to use this quiz feature of the app is to do a summative assessment. So at the end of a unit, if you do want to do an assessment for a grade, you could certainly do that. This app allows the teacher to pull up reports later on showing which students got questions correct and incorrect. So you could use it also as a graded quiz. So I'm going to go back to this page now, back 2 pages, and we're going to look at quick question. So now we're looking at the quick question option. As you can see on this screen, with the quick question you can choose multiple choice, true or false, and short answer. If you click on short answer, you'll be taken to this screen and you'll see that you can type in a question. And this feature is optional. This allows you to have the students ask questions instead of the teacher. You'll see that you can choose the number of responses per student to be single or unlimited. And you can also choose whether you'd like your students' answers to be anonymous or to have their name with their answer. I really like short answer because you can do so many things with it. If you are reviewing vocabulary with students, I could type the word in here. So for a science unit, I could type in DNA replication. And I could allow the students to either use this vocab word in a sentence, let's say, or allow them to type their definition of the word. Another option is to do a class discussion. So let's say we're talking about human impact on the environment for my Earth and Environmental Science class. I could type in what impact do humans have on the environment? And to spark this class discussion, I could allow students to post anonymously and unlimited responses what their ideas are. This is really helpful because if students are posting anonymously, it might make them more willing to participate. They would be potentially less hesitant to participate their opinions or ideas when other students don't know who's posting what. They would be, some students might be afraid of being ridiculed for their responses or their opinions, and this takes that factor out of the class discussion. Another thing is to do student-led discussions, so saying, today we're going to talk about human impact on the environment, and let students get into groups and then take turns posting questions for the class to talk about. So that way the students are really directing the class in the direction of the discussion and taking charge of that topic. Another option is to do peer editing. So let's say the students are working on big projects and you want students to learn how to evaluate one another's work. So the teacher could, in the question field here, even just give like a student thesis for their project, let's say, or the student's, leading sentence of a paragraph, and let other students then decide how that student could improve that thesis or sentence, whether it meets the requirements for the rubric. Also, you could do project ideas, so if you need your class to come up with ideas for their group projects. Type in group project ideas, and then students can give their ideas for their group projects here. This gives the option for the students to post questions about the previous night's homework. So letting students post unlimited responses with their names or anonymously. What didn't you understand about last night's assignment? They can post all of their questions and the teacher can respond to those questions. Also, this once you go through this short answer process, it lets the students take a poll. So seeing all those questions that they post on the screen, students can then vote for which questions they'd like to prioritize talking about. Okay, so to click on the dashboard, I'm going to go back. Now we're going to look at space race. So this is a game that the students can play. Basically, you're going to build a quiz before you use this option. So I would have quizzes built up here. I would select a quiz. I would select the number of teams. And then I can auto-assign teams or student select teams. And then we're going to decide which symbol we use for the teams. So we've got a rocket, bear, bicycle, bee, unicorn, spaceship. So putting the students into those teams. And then you can choose to hide student right or wrong feedback, yes or no, depending on what you prefer. So this is really helpful for like an end of the unit review to get the students to participate in reviewing material and get them excited about class, putting them into teams, and it basically will ask them a question and then each team has to answer as quickly as they can. And then at the end, see which team gets the most answers correct. The final option we have is the exit ticket. The exit ticket is a formative assessment that we talked about in our class. So it just allows the teacher to post a question and students to give a response basically right as the class is ending. The way I see this being most helpful is to have students submit any misunderstandings or questions that they had during the class, or letting students summarize what the main takeaway was from that class. That gives the teacher an option or the opportunity to then consider how they'll formulate their lesson for the next day, whether they need to review material or whether they can move on. So this, now it finally took me to the exit ticket screen. So we can sort names alphabetically, A to Z or Z to A, and track score and progress. So here you see, my exit ticket quiz number 1, 2, and 3. It would show student responses here. So I'm going back to the dashboard now. I'm going to talk about the strengths of this app. It's great because it can be used spontaneously with little planning. So if you wanted to plan a quiz ahead of time, of course you could. You could build your multiple choice quiz ahead of time here, create your quiz, and then pull it up in class to use later on. But also, if in class a teacher feels that the students maybe aren't understanding something and wants to take a poll of that, the quick question is a great option. So true or false, multiple choice, and then right on the spot, the teacher can evaluate student understanding and decide whether more time needs to be spent on a specific topic. The teacher can view the live results, like I said, as they're coming in. It also allows the teacher to pull up detailed reports of past assessments later on. So let's say, you do a multiple choice quiz in class and you'd like to further evaluate the results but just don't have the time right in class. You can certainly pull that detailed report up later on and decide where to go from there. This app can be used on any device and operating system, so it's really helpful. It can be used on iPods, iPads, PCs, on Android devices, on the Kindle, so it's really accessible in terms of which technology students do have access to. It's helpful because teachers can save assessments for later use. So if you do create a quiz, you can use it, the next year or with another class. You can also share the assessments with colleagues. So if a teacher develops a quiz and finds it really helpful and useful in class, they can send it along to colleagues for them to use. And no email address is required to start the account. And this minimizes privacy concerns with students. If students, their parents don't want them to have an email, or there are just any issues regarding sharing that information, students can just create the account without any sort of email address. So I'm actually gonna go here because this sort of shows some of what I just mentioned. So if you go to manage quizzes, here you can also create a quiz. You can import a quiz, and so that allows you to import from an Excel file if you create it there, or to import a Socrative quiz from another teacher. My quizzes is where all of mine would be stored. If I had created a bunch already, they'd be right here. And reports, that's where you can pull up the detailed reports. So as I've been playing around with this, I've done 4 exit quizzes, and those reports would be right here if I had student responses. It also lets you archive them, so you can save them there as well. And here you'll see you can go through all of your quizzes, all of your assessments. You can sort them by quizzes, space races, exit tickets, and short answers. And this button says live results. So again, that's where your student responses are going to be. Right here I can decide to hide student responses or show student responses. And then this number here shows you how many students are logged in to your virtual classroom. So the limitations of this app, 50 students can access it all at once. Now for most classes, that's going to be more students than you'll have in the class, so that's perfectly fine. If you were trying to use these quizzes as a homework assignment, like if you created a quiz and then asked the students to log on outside of class to take the quiz, that could pose some issues. If you have 4 classes of 30 students, you have 120 students and only 50 can log on at once. Now, the chances that all of them are logged on at once at home is slim, but if you have 52 students trying to log on at 7 p.m. to take this quiz, 2 of those students won't be able to log on, so that poses a bit of an issue in terms of usability outside of the classroom. Each student does need an electronic device to use the program. So in some schools, the students might be provided with electronic devices like iPads or Chromebooks, but if they don't have those devices, then that's a bit of an issue in terms of making sure that each student can access the technology. The system does not include longitudinal tracking of student progress, so you can look at the scores on individual quizzes that you've done over a period of time, but it doesn't allow you to select a student and to see that specific student's progress as they've moved along. Those reports could be compiled by the teacher, but there's no easy button that compiles those reports for you. And finally, the students can't revisit questions or change an answer once they've been submitted. If they accidentally hit the wrong answer, then they can't go back and change. I really think this program is going to be useful in class, and I hope you think so as well.